Pro football is an absolute meat grinder, overflowing with raw talent. But the harsh reality, rings are painfully rare. Forget the sideline noise and distractions. Some guys are born champions, while others are doomed to be legendary stat padders without a ring. When it actually matters, we are ruthlessly separating contenders from pretenders today. 5 insanely hyped up stars who, despite all their shiny hardware, will never touch the Lombardi plus. 5 total sleepers utterly destined for glory. Overrated Josh Allen, quarterback, Buffalo Bills. I will just say it. He is our era Stan Marino, the most gifted quarterback of his generation who will never taste a championship. He is 7-6 in January, 0-4 against Kansas City. He owns the brutal, unwanted record for most postseason starts without ever smelling a Super Bowl. 15 and counting. And look, whenever the spotlight burns the absolute brightest, he inevitably chokes, even if his box score looks spectacular. The 2025 campaign was supposed to be his ultimate redemption arc. 0 Patrick Mahomes in the bracket, 0 Chiefs blocking his path to glory. Buffalo locked up the 2 seed, a bye week, and home turf. So what happened? They collapsed against the Denver Broncos, 33-30. Scene Metermut was fired immediately. Here is the brutal truth about Josh Allen. He plays reckless hero ball because he absolutely has to. Buffalo never built him a complete squad. Receivers constantly rotate, and that defense completely vanishes when it matters. Forcing plays, he always commits that one fatal blunder that completely ends their run. He is a guaranteed first ballot Hall of Famer. He will shatter every passing milestone. But Josh Allen will walk away from this game completely empty-handed. 20 years from now, pure Marino vibes, unreal talent, crazy stats, 0 championships. Underrated Puka Nacua, wide receiver, Los Angeles Rams. If Jackson, Smith, and Jigba had not absolutely exploded this year, Nacua would be crowned the ultimate young weapon. Still, the Rams' Phenom snagged 1,715 yards, dominating everyone else by nearly 400 yards. He completely redefined Sean McVay's playbook in ways very few athletes can even dream of. The kid was a total 5th-round steal back in 2023. Round 5, he instantly shattered all the rookie milestones for catches and receiving yardage, dropping video game stats that left everyone completely speechless. Then in 2024, shaking off a nasty knee injury, he proved it was absolutely no fluke. Fast forward to 2025, he was a top 2 threat league-wide. Lola just stole all-pro corner Trent Mustafi, beefing up an already elite playoff defense. Sean McVay remains an offensive mastermind. Matthew Stafford knows exactly how to win rings. They battled to the NFC title match, falling 31-27 against Seattle. Puka Nacua is the absolute prototype for a dominant modern wideout. 6'2", razor-sharp route running, and a pair of absolute vice grip hands. He gets wide open effortlessly, entering his pure prime. His championship window is smashed wide open. This is not a guess, it is a blood oath. Puka will secure a ring before he signs his next massive extension. Stamp it. Overrated Lamar Jackson, quarterback, Baltimore Ravens, 2 most valuable player awards. Yeah, he bagged the ultimate solo hardware twice, and he is barely 29 years old. With the rock in his hands, he is a generational human highlight reel. He completely redefined quarterback mobility. Yet, he is 3-5 in the playoffs, boasting an ugly 3-6 home record when stakes are high. Honestly, his 2025 campaign, an absolute train wreck. Baltimore opened 1-5, sparked a fake run to 6-5, then crashed hard to finish 8-9. They missed the playoffs for the first time since 2021. A do-or-die Week 18 kick simply doinked off the iron. John Harbaugh, his lifelong sideline general, was brutally handed walking papers 2 days later. Now, he is stuck learning a brand new system under Jess Minter. 29 years old, brand new playbook, fresh offensive mastermind, calling the shots. Yet history proves a dual threat signal caller loses their explosive footwork long before their shoulder ever gives out. For 3 straight campaigns, that dynamic ground production has been quietly bleeding out, dropping year after year. Brutal hits leave permanent scars. Medical visits multiply. Sure, capturing another most valuable player trophy remains entirely possible. Stacking more all-star nods in his resume is a lock. Dragging Baltimore deep into next winter's postseason, absolutely on the table. But securing that ultimate championship ring, never happening. You simply cannot survive playing that reckless brand of football forever. That locker room constantly turns over, and when January's freezing temperatures demand a traditional drop-back gunslinger, his glaring flaws take center stage. Pivot to Houston's completely disrespected signal caller, CJ Stroud. Let us be brutally honest. The kid is an absolute disaster right now. That former first-year phenom destined for Grier and immortality just drove his career straight off a terrifying cliff, tossing 4 agonizing picks against New England before halftime, coughing up 5 brutal fumbles against Pittsburgh, pure agony. Trade block whispers are escalating fast, but mark my words carefully. This kid is absolutely securing a Lombardi trophy. The critics actively digging his grave completely ignore reality. Barely 24 years old, juggling 2 entirely different play callers across 3 turbulent campaigns. Sidelined for 4 crucial matchups this autumn, recovering from a severe concussion, fleeing from terrifying pass rushes every single Sunday because his blocking unit remains a total sieve. Yet the sharp bettors absolutely know he will ultimately crack the code and dominate the league. Beyond possessing elite raw abilities and legitimate lethal weapons catching his passes, he is backed by an absolute wall on defense. Will Anderson Jr. is a certified nightmare. Coach DeMeco Ryans crafted an absolutely terrifying top-tier wrecking crew, a ruthless squad capable of snatching victories out of thin air while their scoring unit completely implodes, which has been weekly reality. That elite defensive wall is not budging an inch. Houston just punched their ticket to 3 straight divisional clashes, led by a supposed has-been under center. Just picture the sheer terror when his mechanics finally click. Look, professional football shifts dramatically every 12 months. The locker room remains fiercely loyal, and the front office is pushing all chips in to guarantee his ultimate triumph. The masses are aggressively panic dumping his stock during this brutal market crash. That is precisely the moment you invest heavily. Now, pivot to criminally overvalued wideout Justin Jefferson. The man could genuinely be the most lethal route outrunner walking the planet today, meaning his personal talent is undeniable, yet hoisting that championship trophy is virtually impossible. Why? He is permanently trapped wearing a purple jersey. The cursed historical trend speaks absolute volumes. Flashback to 2024, Sam Darnold arrives, plays out of his mind, dragging Minnesota to an Elite 14-3 finish. The front office casually let him walk. His next move, strolling into Seattle and casually securing a massive championship ring. Consequently, the star wideout watched his 2025 statistics plummet off a terrifying cliff. Compared to his usual god-tier output, anyway, 84 receptions, a miserable 148 yards, and 2 lonely scores. 2. For the absolute greatest pass catcher breathing, arguably the defining athletic marvel of this modern era, reduced to a miserable single-digit scoring DJing campaign strictly because the guy under center could not deliver a decent spiral. That is the classic Minnesota tragedy. Burning elite careers to the ground is their specialty. Randy Moss suffered similarly. Adrian Peterson lived that exact same nightmare. Now, they are systematically destroying another legendary prime. He is guaranteed to shatter every receiving mark in their history books. A lock for Canton, a permanent fixture among immortals. But the heartbreaking reality, he will retire without a ring. Why? Because that cursed franchise possesses zero data for surrounding their superstars with actual championship caliber rosters. Switching gears to the criminally slept on Trevor Lawrence in Jacksonville. Look, I hear your collective groans already. You are laughing. Right, the dude dragging around a miserable 29-39 professional win-loss ratio. The survivor of 4 totally different coaching regimes in just 5 brutal campaigns. Yes, him. I'm screaming it. The media buried this generational talent way too fast. Flashes of pure brilliance erupted in 2025, that untouchable prodigy we all hyped up on draft night as the ultimate prize has finally resurrected. And from where I am sitting, that elite version is never leaving. The front office finally locked down a completely competent, overhauled coaching staff. For the first time ever, he is armed with genuine assassins who flip scoreboards. We witnessed the devastating impact all last autumn be completely real here. That Southern Division is begging to be conquered. Houston looks solid, sure, but they bleed just like anyone else. Indy and Tennessee are drowning in nowhere. Meanwhile, everyone buried Trevor Lawrence alive, which fuels the ultimate revenge tour. The raw skill remains, the offensive arsenal is fully loaded. Add a massive grudge fueled by 5 painful seasons of catching a brutal bust label. That kid will hoist a Lombardi. When the confetti falls, those catastrophic draft narratives will look utterly pathetic. Mark my words, massively overhyped New England quarterback Drake May. Cue the fanboy outrage. Sure, the 23-year-old Phenom just punched a ticket to the big game, overcoming crazy 80-1 preseason odds. Blah, blah, blah. I completely get the hype. Listen clearly, he is never capturing a ring. Make zero mistake, that legendary Boston run was magical, but deeply deceptive from the jump. Essentially a total illusion, smothering defense, clutch special units, and a late-season cakewalk carried them. He simply handed the rock off. Suddenly, analysts are crowning him the next giant just because the stars aligned perfectly around him. Let me paint you the brutal incoming reality. New England will crash down hard. That brick-wall defensive unit is bound to crack. The absolute cakewalk is completely over. Opposing coordinators will relentlessly expose his predictable habits on tape, spotlighting glaring weaknesses and sheer panic whenever heavy pressure smashes the pocket. Then those ruthless Boston faithful will viciously throw him to the wolves. Exactly like their previous golden boy. Remember their last so-called savior? Next up, heavily slept on, Detroit tailback Jamie Gibbs. Detroit blowing the 2025 postseason was an absolute shocker that left the football world totally speechless. Watching a legendary roster disintegrate under brutal medical setbacks, terrible bounces, and weird collapses was purely devastating. Yet if you are slamming the door on their title hopes, aggressively hit the brakes and rethink everything, Gibbs is the absolute most explosive backfield threat alive. Seriously, save your breath arguing for anyone else. The kid simply defies basic human physics every single time he touches the rock, snagging throws like a premier wideout while slicing through coverage like an elite slot target. Nobody accelerates through the trenches quicker, and his ultimate top gear is absolutely terrifying. Motor City's nucleus is secured long-term, and their division is incredibly wide open. Once fully recovered and hunting in January, this guy will drag them straight to a parade. The masses will falsely act shocked, but the writing is permanently etched. Next up, overvalued Dallas wideout CeeDee Lamb, snagging 5 Pro Bowl nods in 6 campaigns, topping 2,023 catches, and posting 5 straight 1,000-yard runs, matching legendary franchise streaks, while casually cashing in on an absolutely blockbuster payday. He was prematurely crowned the undisputed offensive king of Texas football for years. Yet honestly, he feels like a prime garbage time merchant, stacking hollow digits when the scoreboard is already decided. Or typical for his squad, racking up yards after their playoff hopes are buried, sure. He'll stuff stat sheets and chase legends, but ultimately tied to his current gunslinger and an owner trapped in catastrophic failure loops. He is genuinely never touching a ring. Criminally undervalued, Vegas tight end Brock Bowers. He is painfully stuck in the silver and black desert, a franchise functioning as a complete, raging dumpster fire. Zero answer under center, zero winning mentality, and absolutely zero viable roadmap to relevance. Yet none of that garbage actually matters. The kid is the most terrifying monster at his positions since Kels. Eventually, he will grab a monstrous bag from a highly legitimate heavyweight contender. His incredibly explosive Dibbit campaign utterly shattered the all-time rookie yardage benchmark for his unique position, reeling in 112 grabs, a purely historic volume trailing only the greatest legendary names ever, miraculously pulling that off, catching ducks from absolute scrubs, playing directly under a dead man walking coaching regime. Trapped inside a completely broken scheme, this unstoppable offensive weapon is barely 23 years old, sprinting exactly like a burner, punishing defenders inside and causing total strategic nightmares for panicked game planners. He will hit the open market instantly, sparking an absolute brutal bloodbath among desperate front offices securing his talents. Between aggressive forced blockbusters or massive free market bidding wars, picture Brock Bowers finally landing a true franchise quarterback. The second that happens, they are hoisting the Lombardi trophy. He might not even be the biggest name on the depth chart, but he provides that lethal edge that completely shatters defenses, the exact nightmare matchup required for deep playoff runs. That vital missing piece every modern dynasty craves. Speaking of destiny, which big-name players are guaranteed to retire empty-handed? Who is flying under the radar? Which of our takes hit the bullseye? Or did we totally drop the ball? Fire off your ultimate snubs down in the replies below. If this breakdown fueled your pure gridiron obsession today, smashing that like button pushes us closer to the end zone. And if you are a rookie to the TPS squad, locking in a subscription guarantees you elite sports coverage every single day of the week. Keep grinding out there, and we will catch you on the very next snap.